What's good, YouTube? Welcome back to this new video. In this video is going to talk about the 5 internal enemies inside the mind's battlefield. You know, lust, anger, greed, attachment, and the ego. I'm going to go straight into it because this is really good information that can help you instantly. I'll go straight into it. Listen carefully. And I wrote everything down on papers to read so I don't forget anything and so I know what I'm saying truly. Because what I think in my mind I write down. Because a lot of times I feel some stuff, but this stuff is really good stuff, so I want to explain carefully. So lust, anger, greed, attachment, and the ego. These are really the 5 enemies inside our own mind that hinder us from fulfillment, peace, love, and essentially our growth. The root of these 5 enemies come from excessive engagement in the worldly life, matters, and distance from source, God, nature, and the real things. The real things like meaningful relationships, meaningful friendships, and meaningful things we work on, build, businesses, our bodies, and doing things we truly enjoy that are good for us. Things that last and will last, And these internal enemies influence our choices, running in the background of our mind and operate through our thoughts, emotions, and actions, creating the very suffering we try to escape from. You see what I'm saying? Create the very suffering we try to escape from, because all suffering is eventually created in our own mind. We are creating ourselves, and with these 5 internal enemies, we try to run away from it, but it's really creating more suffering. It's crazy. And the 5 internal enemies, they are really a part of the human experience as challenges we must recognize and transcend from. And later I'm gonna explain too how you can conquer those 5 internal enemies. But first I'm going to talk more about the 5 internal enemies. So I'm going to start with lust, number 1. The disturber of peace, an intense craving that consumes us, and the root of all other internal enemies. Lust, aka strong desire, the mechanism, how does it work? It starts with the senses, the eyes, the tongue, the ears, and whatever. They contact their objects. The contact creates an impression in the mind. From the impression, attraction comes. From attraction comes desire. And from desire comes attachment. Is the attachment threatened? Anger comes. So you see, all those 5 internal enemies are like a cycle. It works together in a way. So they all need to be overcome in a way, A strong desire always promises relief and satisfaction, but always only relieves temporary in the moment. Nothing more. It's always in the moment. Short and fast. And really it is just filling an inner emptiness we have. And through observation and pausing and not acting on them, you will see what lust/desires, what it does with you and where it is in your life, in what areas of your life it's showing itself, appearing. And now you can really change it in the way you want, because desires can be controlled and put in the right direction, for the right things. Because you can also have a strong desire to better your life, to help your parents or whatever, Okay, the next one, number 2, anger. Anger dismantles wisdom and peace. Anger destroys. Anger can come from fear, lust, and so much more. When you become angry, you become different. And with anger always comes regret, because you can be the kindest person, and one time you act on anger, you can destroy everything, Anger is just really information. It shows you your attachments, because anger truly comes from having strong attachments to things or people, and it creates anger when it's fragile, And the strongest people can sit still in anger. They can control their anger. So number 3, greed. Always wanting more of something. It is never enough or you have enough. You're never satisfied. And happiness is in the next step. But it's always in the next thing again. You're really trying to fill internal emptiness with something external. See how greed operates in your life. Like maybe in money, recognition, achievement, and whatever it is. Greed is an endless trap of satisfaction that always is in the next thing. And the antidote is seeing that external accumulation, so having more of something and wanting more of something, will never touch your inner nature or fill empty holes in yourself. Because something external can never fix something internal. Yeah? Through contentment, real contentment, true, comes not from having more, but being more, like I just said. Okay. Number 4, attachment. Attachments can be called delusion because it's the same thing. And I'm gonna explain why now. And from all internal enemies, attachment is the one that operates silently because anger can be seen, lust and strong desires can be felt. It clouds your perception of reality. We become attached because we are deluded about the nature of things. We see permanent in temporary, we see permanent in change. We suffer and grieve because of attachments to temporary things and people. And deeply sad, we identify with the wrong things, We identify with the body thinking I am this physical form. We identify with the mind thinking I am my thoughts. And we identify with our roles in this life. I'm a parent, I'm a son, I'm a partner, I'm a worker. You understand what I'm saying? Because all these attachments, these identifications with roles we have in our lives or with our thoughts, what our thoughts are saying, it creates all misery, all suffering, all insecurities, because we get expectations from them, we get pressure from it. All suffering comes through ourselves, man. In our own mind, we are creating ourselves. But when you're detached from everything, and I will explain later, you're free. And the last, ego. A false sense of self. I think I am more or better because I have more. I know everything, I know better. Arrogance about wealth, status, and feeling superior due to knowledge. It blocks learning and reflection, and it isolates us. It creates walls and gaps between ourselves, God, and others. And while pride, your ego, inflates us, so makes us feel more, enviness deflates us. It makes us feel less. Because what enviness really do is constantly comparing to others, But when we envy, we are really rejecting God and God's timing and everything that we have been given in our own unique journey. Because one can be born with money and one can be born broke. One can be born healthy and one can be born sick. And maybe the one with a lot of money is poor in their head, they're depressed. But maybe the one with not much money is grateful and happy. So yeah, it's really about being grateful with what you have on your journey. With this ego part, it's about being grateful with what you have and be humble, and always know there's someone with more or better or someone with less, And also enviness cannot coexist with gratitude. Being grateful, So now I'm going to talk about conquer those internal enemies, And the biggest thing is knowledge, information, understanding our true nature. Because knowledge now acts as a sword because it cuts through delusion instantly. When you truly understand that you are not your body or mind, with the external consciousness, like I just said, how can worldly matters dominate your life, and dominate your mind? This isn't intellectual knowledge, but realized knowledge now, And the difference is you can know about fire, you can touch fire. One is a concept, the other transforms behavior instantly because the right information and knowing can snap something in your head and you do different things instantly, And it's also about practice and detachment, repeated effort. Observing oneself, seeing and pausing and not acting on the wrong things, It's about stepping outside of your body and mind and observing oneself. And detachment, detached to outcomes, detached to expectations, and accept what is and accept what can be. And that's the most beautiful thing, By not being detached and just accept what is and what can be, you are free. And you can do anything, And go for the real things, like I said in the first part, Go for real meaningful relationships, meaningful friendships, build meaningful things. This is the stuff that will fill you truly. Because it's real, it's on the right path, it's the right things. It fills you and build yourself up, And some more stuff, finding your happiness within, because happiness is your natural state of being. All those external factors and these 5 internal enemies push you away from your natural being, and which is really just your happiness, because your happiness is a neutral state. But all that bullshit clouds it and pushes you further away from your happiness, you know? Peace comes to the one who has given up all worldly desires, fullness of being oneself, needing nothing, external for feeling complete, being full without nothing, being full with just being yourself, you know? Inner joy doesn't depend on circumstances. It flows from connection with God and our true nature, human self. External things come and go. They are like drops of water in an ocean of contentment. Can you taste this freedom? Do you hear what I'm just saying? Hear what I'm saying. Understand it. You know, read it. Watch this video multiple times and understand what I'm saying. This is stuff that can really help you. Yeah. And this was this video. See you in the next one. Peace.